And hello, YouTube. In this video, I want to talk about Rust. It's just, I know there are a lot of Rust videos online, but this is my own take, and I just want to explain why I am so, I am enthusiastic about the language and what use potential it has, for my kind of applications, which is a lot of simulation. It is a very simulation-heavy twist. Okay, my bench is very, heavily numerical simulation based, and I think it's a very uh, it's a topic I'm passionate about. I've done OpenFOAM and stuff, but Rust is yet another passion, so to speak, I guess, of mine. So without further ado, let me start. Okay. Now normally when I start Rust, I like to use NeoVim, but I know it puts a lot of people off to try and use NeoVim, even though let me minimize this. Yeah, I like to use I've grown to love to use NeoVim and Tmux, doing most if not everything inside the terminal, like so, just to make a new Rust project. And this is how I usually like to code Rust. Now, I understand a lot of friends of mine would find this very off-putting, so I will try to get things done in a more simple manner. I'll use VS Code to start us off. Now, if you want to do NeoVim, then that's a whole nother thing, but I'm more used to NeoVim than VS Code. But whatever it is, yes, let's just get started with Rust. Now, the nice thing about Rust is that it's more or less cross-platform. It's much more user-friendly than, say, C++, or, in my opinion, C++ or Fortran, because it gives you a lot of guide rails. The compiler will teach you how to do things. Now, to install Rust, you can take a look at some of these methods here. Just Google things online. I like to install it using rustup init. That will help to set things up. On Windows, it's usually a Visual Studio kind of thing. I am using Linux right here, particularly Arch Linux. And Rust is, let me see, rustup. Yeah, rustup is an explicit package in the Arch Linux repositories. In Ubuntu, you might want to just download Ubuntu or Linux Mint-based distributions or related distributions. You might want to use this curl script instead. Of course, I will leave these descriptions here, so don't worry. And I'll try not to use too much of the terminal. Again, I know it's very intimidating, so I will keep that to a minimum. If there's anything, I'll try to just introduce things along the way, right? I will try to introduce things along the way so that you don't get too lost in the terminal. Okay, so I'm just gonna try doing things through the graphical user interface, the GUI. Hopefully that will make things a little bit more user-friendly. So I'm on my desktop now. Just like any desktop, you can be on a Mac desktop, Windows desktop, any sort of Linux desktop. It's just a desktop. What I'm going to do is just make a new folder, right? And I'll call this my Rust project 1. Okay, this is just making a folder. Nothing too complicated about that. Just make a folder, and you will need to start install Rust. And the moment you install Rust, you will have a cargo. You will be able to use this command in terminal called cargo. Now, so we will use a little bit of the terminal, but not too much just yet, right? But let's go to use VS Code. So please install VS Code. In Arch Linux, at least, it will just be called code.oss or code OSS. Okay, I'm not sure what OSS means, but the first thing that comes to mind is open source software. But right, I'm just going to start this out, and what I'm going to do with VS Code is just to open a folder. Okay, the folder will be called my Rust project number 1. That's it. Okay, so just trust the authors. Yeah, everything's on the desktop, so pretty okay. Nothing too fancy. Now, again, I mentioned that I'll try to keep the use of the terminal to a minimum, but you will need to use a little bit of the terminal, at least with Rust. Okay. So the first thing you probably want to do is go and open this terminal here using the toolbar. So here it is. So in this terminal, you will be inside my Rust project 1, and you will be able to execute commands in the terminal. The command that, well, if you never used the terminal before, just follow through. I will try not to copy and paste too much things. So the only thing you need to do now is just to cargo. Okay, type cargo, C-A-R-G-O, cargo. Okay, and press the enter button. Okay, if you installed Rust correctly, you will be able to see at least this kind of output. So let me drag this to the top. Okay, cargo, and you can scroll up and down. Just type cargo, and you should be able to see all of these things here, right? It will say cargo is Rust's package manager. There are a lot of options you can use. It can be very overwhelming for a start, so don't worry about that first. What I want you to type is just to start your Rust project. The way to start it is just to type cargo init, I-N-I-T, cargo space init. Okay, when you type things in the terminal, just be mindful things are case sensitive, and every space has a meaning. Okay, every space has a meaning. So just type cargo space init and press enter. Okay, and what you will find is that on your left pane, there is a source directory with a main.rs, a git ignore file, and a cargo toml file. Now, if you never used Git before, I suggest do start learning a little bit. Though it's not strictly compulsory for coding in Rust, I do highly recommend it. You will need it, especially if you want to save things on the cloud, to GitHub specifically, or GitLab for that matter. Cargo toml, don't worry about this first. The only thing we want to see here is main.rs. Main.rs. Okay, so main.rs. Thing about things in Rust. When you start things out, it's pretty simple. You see there are a few things here. All right, there are lots of buttons to press and click, but the only thing here, well, let's take a look. This is your main function. Okay, your main function. So whatever you type into the main function here, these are pieces of code you will execute. And what you see me highlighting here is this command called printline with the exclamation mark. Okay, don't worry about the syntax too much first, but just try to get an idea of what's going on. Okay, just by the clues that are going on. Okay, FN, if you're not too familiar with coding, this is short for function. A function is a block of code that does stuff. Okay, this is a very oversimplified and not technically correct way, but it's a useful way to get started. Yeah, a function is a block of code that does stuff. Okay, what kind of stuff? What kind of stuff specifically? We'll get more into the nitty-gritty maybe later. Okay, main is a main function. Okay, is the name of your function here. So the syntax, the way you type out a function is to type the name of the function, and remember, just like what we talked about in the terminal just now, spaces have meanings. So function space main, you have these brackets here. So just leave them there, and then you have open and close brackets. What is your function in the main doing? Okay, what's your code doing now? The code now is doing this thing called printline. It literally prints a line, and it just says hello world. So that's what your Rust code is doing. Okay, so how do you start running this code, so to speak? Okay, the way to run this code is very simple. Just use the cargo command, and you just type run, R-U-N. Okay, you run your code by typing cargo run. Okay, this for just when you start out. Okay, it will say here things like compiling and building while the thing is doing its thing, and then it will say it's running target debug my Rust project 1, and then it will say hello world right here. Now, compiling and building, these are concepts. How would I put it? Yeah, let's just say that human language, human readable language, the way you type in your code, it is human readable now, right? You may not understand the syntax of Rust 100%, but you will see that, hey, it's printing a line. It's kind of sort of related to English, but definitely hello world here is English, right? So it's human readable language. What compiling does is to translate that human language into something a machine can understand. Sometimes we like to refer to it as machine code. Okay, it translates this to a machine code. Again, exactly what the nitty-gritties of the machine code are, you don't have to worry about it right now. For that matter, when I do simulations, I don't even think about too much of these things. So, yeah, that's all you need to do. All you need to know about what compiling does. Okay, so cargo run, what it does is to compile this function, this program, or this block of code. Okay, this function, I'm using the term function. Yeah, it'll compile this function into machine code, and then it will just print the output hello world here. So what you can do now is maybe just play around with this. I have my Vim key bindings installed. So, but for that matter, doesn't matter. You can use your mouse to do it. Okay. So, hello. You can change the text here just to play around with the code. Hello world. I am so and so. Yeah. You can so-called introduce yourself. So, hello world is the way to just start. Okay. What you need to do is save. I just actually did a Control S because it's kind of reflexive to me. Or in Vim, it's :W, but doesn't matter. Just save your file. And once you save your file, you can type cargo run again. Okay. Hello world, I am so and so. Now, if you don't save your file, then of course, even if you type cargo run, nothing's gonna change. Okay. Let's say I didn't save my file. I can type I didn't save my file here, and now I type cargo run again. It will still say hello world, I'm so and so. So do save your file before typing cargo run. Okay. So that is your basic program with Rust. Okay. So with this, you can sort of, you just started your first Rust project. Okay. It prints a line and it says hello world. I didn't save my file. Okay, that's what it says. Okay, that's the first Rust project. And even if you have not done much Rust before, should be pretty straightforward. Okay, so next thing is what I like to call a little bit more convenient conveniences. Okay, these are just ways I like to run my program. Okay, to make things simpler. Now, the thing is that let's say I make a lot of changes. I'm going to Control C this and oops. I'm going to just copy and paste this, right? I'm using Vim key bindings. I'm kind of a bit, used to it. So I'll just use Vim key bindings, which means I'll use the arrow keys and stuff, but not arrow keys, HJKL and so forth. But if you want to use the mouse, you're more than welcome. Okay. Okay. So let's say I want to edit my file, and then I want to sort of print the output, right? So I want to sort of print the output. Okay. You say I will need to do cargo run every time after I save in order to like see the output. So if let's say I change the output now and I've saved the file using Control S, I'll just say cargo run. And then yes, fine. It does this. It does print the output for you. Okay, it does print the output for you after you save it. Okay, but I do find it a little bit cumbersome to type cargo run every time I save the file in order to see the output. Okay, so my personal preference, right here is to let Rust automatically do it for you, or let cargo automatically do it for you. So what do I mean by that? Okay, So let me just demonstrate that for you. Okay, I'm using this thing called cargo watch. Okay, cargo watch. What does cargo watch do? Cargo watch actually basically it does this. Okay, every time you save the file, it will compile the code, and if you want, you can run it. Okay, it doesn't come installed with cargo by default, but you can install it yourself. Okay, use cargo install. Okay, cargo space install cargo dash watch. Again, that is cargo space install space cargo dash watch. Okay, cargo space install cargo watch. So this is a very useful command I like to use. I like to have. And again, there are many ways of installing it. Okay, what I have right now, let me close this. What I have right now, I'll just use a terminal, and it's just to demonstrate stuff to you. What I have right now is, well, I do have cargo right here, and I can install cargo watch from the repositories. So that's for Linux users, you know, you can have these options to install cargo watch from your repository package, but you can actually just use cargo install cargo dash watch as I did just now, and use the command cargo watch. Okay, so once it will compile many things, because this cargo watch is of course written in Rust, and then there are lots of things underneath. Okay, lots of code underneath that you don't really need to know too much about. The only thing is that, hey, cargo watch will take note of every time you save the file, and then it will compile the thing to machine code. You'll compile your code to machine code. It means you'll translate all of this into something the machine can understand, and then it will execute the code if you want it to. Okay, by default it does not do that, but you can do it if you want, and that's what I personally like to do. So yeah, it will take a while to compile, and that is something you should expect from doing Rust. It will take quite a while to compile, especially if the program is big. However, the nice thing about Rust is that you may have heard, of course, it runs really quickly. It's almost on par with C++ or C. Okay, it's slightly slower in some cases, but most of the time you will be in that order of magnitude. Okay, so now cargo watch has finished. Cargo watch has finished compiling, as you can see here. And what you usually need to do is make sure the cargo is on your path. Okay, that thing I may discuss later. You can Google it. I'm not going to go through it right now. You can Google what it means by putting a binary on your path. What does you can actually see what that means, but you may or may not have to do that. Okay, what you can do is just to type cargo watch. Okay, cargo watch. Cargo watch. Again, it basically watches for changes. It looks at your files, your main.rs in this case, looks at your main file and says, okay, did you save anything new? If you saved anything new, then you will have cargo watch will actually compile the thing for you, and whenever you save. Okay, so if you want the code to run, just type cargo space watch dash x. Okay, use the minus sign dash x. This x actually stands for execute, so it runs a command. So the command I want to run is the run command. So what is this? What's going on here? Cargo watch dash x run. What this does is that it looks at the main file. Okay, it looks at the main file, and every time you save a change to the file, for example, in this source directory, it doesn't just have to be the main file. Anything in the source directory changes. What happens is that, okay, cargo watch is going to take a look at your file. If there are new changes, it'll compile it, and then it will run it. Okay, so this is cargo watch dash x run. So it will watch your file for changes, build the file, that means compile it to machine code, and then run. So let me demonstrate that for you. Okay, it says hello world, I did not save my file. Now I'm going to delete 5 lines of this. Okay, You can use your mouse to do so. I'm just using keyboard, Vim key bindings, because I find it a lot more convenient. Now I'm just saving it using :W. You can use Control-S, and it says, hello world, I didn't save my file. Okay. Now, of course, I didn't save my file is not true. What I'm going to do is I just said, instead of I didn't save my file now, I'll say I saved my file. So this is a new change here. And I'll save it, and you take a look here. Hello world, I saved my file. Now, why do I prefer this? I mean, you can see it's way more convenient. Every time you save, every time you change your file and save it, you can actually do something new with it. Okay, you'll not do something new. Pardon me. It means that you will see the output immediately. You get immediate feedback, right? And it's automatic. You don't have to do things manually. It's much easier. Now, what do you want to do if you want to stop this cargo watch? Because if you do things like if you actually run cargo watch, you will not be able to stop it unless you give it a stop signal. Okay, the stop signal here is usually Control-C. So type Control-C. Yes, so again, I'm going to do cargo watch -x run. And then if you want to stop it, just press Control-C. So Control-C. Yeah, just like it's just like copy. When you do things in Windows, you usually use Control-C to copy. But Control-C in this case actually stops the program. Now, I believe if you run it in PowerShell, it will do the same thing. And usually when you run this terminal for Windows vscode, when you open vscode and you run Windows terminal, you run the terminal command, it will give you PowerShell. You use Control-C, it will do pretty much the same thing. Okay, that if I recall. Okay, that's from memory. Okay, so this is just basics to get things started for you in Rust. I'll stop the video now, but I hope this makes Rust running Rust a little bit less intimidating. Okay, you still have a graphical user interface. You can see output in real time. Things are a little convenient, and yeah, that's all I have for you. I'll see you next time.